horses, dogs, and cats so far.
Yeah.
And the thing is that people can't usually accuse me of giving auto-suggestions to dogs and cats. They always say when I work with people, oh, it's a placebo, and oh, they think they're going to experience something. But most of the dogs and cats I know really don't have much language.
Yeah.
So when I have a result, a dramatic result from a cat, for example, I had a friend of mine had a cat that was near death with a liver problem. And she invited me over, and we looked at the cat, and the cat was lying on the floor in a heap with its fur matted. And my wife was with me, and she said, you know, sometimes you have to learn to let go. My friend was very attached to the cat. So I said, well, I'll see what I can do, and I just started doing the energy work on the cat. In about 10 minutes, you know, I kind of sense when it locks in.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the cat starts to look around, and then it starts running around, and its fur is full. It's about 40 minutes later. I was flabbergasted myself.
Yeah.
I
could imagine if it was videotaped, that would have been...
I didn't think of it because I didn't know what would happen.
Yeah.
You never know ahead of time.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned about reaching out to executives and corporations.
Right.
How is that going, or how are you spreading the word to others?
Well, I'm starting to now. You know, after 22 years, I'm starting to get a little bit more out there with it. I did a public presentation about a week and a half ago, which wasn't for a specific corporation, but there were a lot of corporate people there that experienced, and I did a group energy transmission, which is always fun and very well received.
Well, tell our audience what a group energy transmission is.
Well, it sounds pretty bizarre, but when I send energy to an individual, it's essentially using the intention and attention put together. And this energy basically, because I've been attuned to this for so long, it's kind of an innate skill, but I did have to take classes initially and learn how to do this. And I do teach people how to do this kind of work.
Who did you study with?
I studied with some Reiki people, you know, just your garden variety. I studied with a Qigong master, and I took some other training in various techniques. But over the years, it's kind of, as many energy workers report, all the different things they learn kind of homogenize.
What about Carolyn Meese? Have you ever worked with her or studied with her?
I've studied with her. I know her. She's a phenomenal person. Phenomenal.
Yeah. She was honored by Infinity Foundation. You want to, you know, just tell our audience, because I mean, she's so well respected and so accomplished, and written some best-selling books. Why don't you talk a little about her experience? And you know,
well, I don't claim to ever have worked on her. I mean, if I did, I wouldn't talk about it publicly.
Oh, no. I mean, your experience of studying with her, learning from her.
Well, I can't say I studied with her much, but I've read her books, and I know her socially. I see her periodically because I'm very close with her family.
Okay.
And what I've learned from her is...
And I didn't know that, and I'm plugging her.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I learned from her is her integrity, that as a person...
That's what I hear.
She's a very devoted family person.
Yeah.
Very passionate about her views.
Moral, ethical?
Moral and ethical views. And what she represents to me is someone who has this intuitive power together with an enormous intellect. I mean, almost gargantuan size intellect.
And a science background. Because she had the intuitive part, the energy part, but she wanted the Western science to explain what she was doing.
So for her, for me, she's kind of a, you know how they say, Anthony Robbins says you model people that you admire.
Yeah.
I admire what she's done, because what I think is important is that people that have like this quote-unquote metaphysical bents or doing energy work does not mean they're impractical, and it does not mean they can't function in a normal daily, everyday life successfully.
Sure.
And part of my mission is to teach business people or ordinary people that some of these techniques that are thousands of years old can be easily integrated into your daily life without disturbing your productivity.
Well, let's say you have a day where you're not working on someone, what do you do, or an animal, what do you do on those days to restore and rejuvenate your energy?
I just try and maintain a reasonable state of health. The kind of energy work I do, it doesn't come from me, so I don't have to recharge my own battery. Some of the Qigong people will spend an hour or two every morning waking up at 4 o'clock and just kind of gathering energies and replenishing themselves.
Yeah.
This is a different thing.
Yeah.
I connect with it, it shoots through and out, I guess, for lack of a better word. And as it moves through me, it replenishes me at the same time. if I don't do it
it's
for
kind
a
of
while,
like an internal, instead of washing our body with a shower on the outside, it's kind
exactly
of
right
inside.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if I don't do it every day, it's it's okay. I don't feel the need to replenish myself because it's a self-regenerating practice.
Okay. Now, before the show, you happened to mention in passing about one of your workshops was taped and it came out great.
Mm-hmm.
What made that particular workshop so special?
Well, what was special to me is that it was a public workshop. It was put together by a guy named Rob Carcella, who has a speakers bureau. He's an old friend of mine. And he spontaneously put it together. Basically, he showed me the flyer and my picture was on it. Okay. I said, okay, I'll be there. And I worked with two other guys. One gentleman was a clutter buster, a very talented guy. The other one...
well, that'll change the energy of a room and a person.
Big time.
Yeah.
And the other fellow, Pat McWard, the clutter buster's Brooks Palmer. Pat McWard is this really well-known business management speaker, goes all over the country. And so then I came in at the end with this energy piece, which is completely different from what the other two guys did. And basically Pat interviewed me, kind of like what we're doing now. Then for the last 15 minutes, I basically just did an energy transfer process for the audience. And basically the energy can go to one person at a time or 50 or 100.
Yeah.
It really doesn't discriminate. It depends upon what the intention is.
Okay.
And for me, it was very rewarding because people...
And what was your intention that day?
My intention was that everyone there receive energy and they would get exactly what they needed out of it, not what I decide they need. The energy is kind of omniscient or knowing, not me, but the energy knows what that person needs, and it kind of distributes itself accordingly as to exactly what that person's needs are, either psychologically, physically, emotionally, whatever.
And what kind of response did you get from the audience that day?
Very, very good. I was really pleased.
And so these are mostly traditional business folks?
Some were already interested in the kind of stuff that I do. But some of them were, yes, business-type folks. And they came there really maybe to hear about the clutter busting or hear about this other fellow who does really great teaching on how to communicate with business people. But they were intrigued with what I did. And many of them had no previous experience with it. And they reported that they felt energy flowing through the body. They felt very specific, tangible effects from just a few minutes that we did.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I think you exemplify what you're preaching and practicing. You know, like I had the good fortune of interviewing John Kabat-Zinn, an MIT professor and author of many books on meditation.
Great author. Right.
And his energy is just unbelievable.
Yes.
And, you know, in his 60s, he's got the energy and vitality of somebody in their 20s, you know, just to keep up with that gentleman. So...
well, I'll take him on. I'm in my 60s.
Yeah, well, there you go. And did you feel like a big decline? And, you know, some people talk, you know, like the 40s, there's a dip in energy in the 50s and the 60s. Did you feel any drop-off in energy?
Personally, it sounds a little odd, but I feel a much higher energy now than I did when I was 30.
And explain why.
I'm not sure.
Is it maybe your consciousness, your awareness?
I think that's a big part of it. Because I can feel that the consciousness is expanding or growing, whatever word we want to use. What happens is your life takes less of a toll on your physical structure.
Because you're putting less stress on it.
Right. I mean, I have plenty of stressors in the environment, you know, with business and other things like anyone else. But there's tools that we can adopt that can help process that stress out so that every day you take in whatever stress and you let go of it. And over the years, what happens is that you may start to actually get ahead of the game where you lose the stress faster than you gain it. So I feel that's primarily affected me in the way that I just feel younger than I did.
I would say maturity.
And maturity is a big part.
Knowing, getting your priorities in order, but
true.
Your energy just feels so much upbeat and positive when you're balanced, and that's what, you know, your energy work does. It just
it balances. Yeah.
And when you can have excess energy or deficient energy, and you do the energy work, it's
balanced. Right.
Yeah. Now we talked about trans